My name's Chris Shear. I am with Father Nature Landscapes of Tacoma, and we are located in Tacoma, Washington. We are Father Nature Landscapes, which is a design, build, and maintenance company. I actually didn't start Father Nature. My business partner, Andrew McCurry, he started it. I met him about a month into him getting it going, which was early part of 2006. And I was getting an accounting degree at the time. And honestly, what he did sounded very interesting. And I was just looking to have a part-time job. So I fell into it, to be frank with you. How I found Knowledge Tree. So George he was the point of contact I made. And it was at a LMN teaching seminar in downtown Seattle. I think it was 2 winters ago. I really liked what George had to say. I appreciated his kind of no-nonsense approach to what he was discussing, and he seemed extremely knowledgeable. So while we were sitting there kind of going through the notes and some of the stuff, I just Googled him, and he came up, and then I found his company website, and then it said right there that he does business coaching and consulting. So then I just reached out to him, sent him an email while I was in the seminar, told him I liked what he had to say and I'd be interested in finding out more about a working relationship. And George got back to me, I think a couple days after that. And that was kind of how we got started. I was working with a consultant at the time, and I was not getting what I had expected from the business relationship. And so I thought it'd be worth my time to reach out to George and see what he offered and what his approach was and go from there. The goals, I thought, were going to be more on the LMN side, making sure my estimating software was set up well and all that. I was essentially overlooking some of the people or the personnel side of the business. And when I engaged George, and he went through my LMN and my QuickBooks and looked at all that stuff, he said, "Chris, I'm not going to spend even a minute working with you on that stuff. You've got it set. We need to talk about your people." I was feeling like we were working really hard and not making a high enough net profit. And I wasn't fully understanding the why behind some of that. So I worked with 3 other industry consultants prior to George. And I would say they all felt or fit for a point in time. The first person we engaged with, man, it was years ago. We weren't actually doing a budget yet. And so this guy said, you got to have a budget. And he walked us through how to set a working budget and to recover overhead and to understand all that. And then I felt like we kind of aged out of our time with him. The second consultant focused on our people and some process, which was great. And then the third, I really thought was going to help kind of take my business, I would say, to the next level. And it just didn't work out for me that way. And that's kind of where then George slid in, and he just seemed like a straight shooting guy and someone I connected with at that initial meeting at the LMN conference. And I was excited to start working with him. The consultant I was working with before Knowledge Tree, I was going to move on from them anyway. So I just would have gone without anyone for the last year. Without making the connection with Knowledge Tree, I really do feel as though we would have just stayed treading water. There would have been no change. Maybe we would have continued to regress a little bit, but we certainly would not have progressed forward at all. I think having a background of working with consultants prior, those experiences had taken away kind of that, oh man, nervousness or the what ifs type stuff. I tend to be a pretty decisive person, and in having that whole afternoon with George helped me to see who he was. And it made it pretty clear for me at that time of, I think I'm ready to go talk to this guy. Most of the work process began one-on-one with George and I via a Zoom call, just like this. He kind of proposed to me initially the things he thought he could help me with. I agreed. And then from there, we set up times with George and my team where George led our entire team through exercises to kind of either brainstorm or problem solve or identify issues. And then George is good about essentially leading you or helping you to find a solution. And then I find that what he does is he stays behind there, kind of pushing me forward and keeping me accountable to achieving the results. Maybe in some people in construction just find some magic bullet and they fix it all in 1 year and it's done. That hasn't been our story at Father Nature. It's been an evolution for quite a long time. And I think something we are good at is making small adjustments and trying new things. And that's some of what I found with George is he's working with me towards an end goal, but it's a process, and we're just kind of in the beginning stages of that process. What has been really fun, my business partner and myself flew up to Toronto in late summer, early fall, and got to go see Knowledge Tree Consulting's actual base of operations and meet Peter and a bunch of the guys on the team and kind of see how the yard is organized. And there was some really wonderful takeaways from that in how we could leverage those different things in our businesses. George, I initially thought I was hiring him for one thing, and in him diving into the business for maybe an hour, he identified the real issue that I was oblivious to. And so I think that's been the big thing is he's honest. They don't beat around the bush, and they're going to tell you like they believe it and as they're seeing it. And I really appreciated that because I think I could have probably paid somebody to go through my QuickBooks and my element order, but I didn't need it. And I appreciated the honesty from him and his team that, hey, we don't need to charge you and do anything with this, but you need help with is your people and how you're kind of hiring and training them as they come in. And that was the very helpful side of things that I wasn't as aware of. You're probably going to have a little harder time if you're just starting your business and you have like 300 grand in revenue. I think it's going to be a hard pill to swallow trying to hire a consultant and giving them a big chunk of your money. But like we're past that. Our business does about 4.5 million a year. And so it was an easy fit for us. But I would say if I could rewind the clock 10 and 15 years, I think we've been in business 17 years now. I sure would have loved to connect with someone like George at the beginning and be able to understand how he could systemize my business, help me get set up to hire and train people, what would be some good financial goals and benchmarks to set the business by, and then hold the business accountable to what are good equipment purchasing decisions, things like that. I definitely think as you're getting going, if your business is a business and a company, George and Knowledge Tree is a good fit for you. If you just have a business that's really a job and you're just pulling some money out of it, you're not going to get the benefit of a consulting business like Knowledge Tree. I would say do it. At the end of the day, it's just money and you're going to spend it on something. And why not spend it on a group of consultants who are going to give you a different perspective and open your eyes to things that you might not even be aware of? Because at the end of the day, the money's going to be spent somewhere. And I think you will walk away. I would guarantee you'll walk away knowing more. And maybe that's very fitting that their name is Knowledge Tree. I think you're going to come away with a greater understanding and knowledge of your business and how to move it forward. I think what they have helped me to understand, George specifically, is where I should be putting my time and what the value of my time is. Stripping things off of my daily workload that I could be giving to other staff members to handle and helping me to focus on what is going to bring the best return on investment of my time.